Welcome to Horrors Untold, the podcast spawned from our twisted interactive book, and now whispering in your ear with behind-the-scenes stories from the creators and conspirators who helped bring it to life. In this episode of our mini-series, we chat with Hunter Fagan, co-host of Grim Grinning Hosts, and a familiar voice across the Halloween Horror Nights podcast universe. As a longtime fan, podcaster, and self-proclaimed HHN lore hoarder, Hunter was the perfect person to fact-check one of the most dense, intricate chapters of our book. We talk about what it was like to piece together the chaotic history of the event, how he approached the book with a healthy dose of skepticism, and how the final product surprised him in all the right ways.
Hi, everybody. My name is Hunter Fagan. You might recognize me from a couple different projects, but namely, you can find me on my home podcast, which is the Grim Grinning Hosts podcast, which is kind of a theme park podcast, but also, how many times can I say podcast? It's a theme park show, but also a pop culture kind of emblemation. So I do a lot of stuff over there. And then when we are around, when we're actually recording, I do show up on the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights podcast as well. So yeah, you've probably heard me at some point, whether it's on those shows or showing up on other HHN related things. It's always a pleasure to get to talk about one of my absolute favorite things.
And I know it's one of your absolute favorite things because I get to hear you talk, and we've been talking behind the scenes for the last, I don't even know how many years now.
Mhm.
But that's how I knew that you were an HHN expert, and that's how I duped you into being one of our fact checkers for our big HHN lore chapter.
Oh man, it was honestly, I was very touched. We've had our friendship and we've talked about numerous things. You've been on my show where we talked about your love of Stranger Things and its incorporation into Halloween Horror Nights specifically. So when you came to me, I'm like, hey, I definitely don't. I feel weird whenever you call me an expert because I'm just a guy with too much time on my hands who has flipped through too many books and web pages and forum posts. Some might say wasted time. To me, I just say, hey, I'm joining in spooky fun year round. But it truly was an honor to be associated with something that I consider such a special project. And I can't thank you enough for having me. And hopefully my contributions were worthwhile. So that's all I can say about that.
Yes, always having a fact checker is a wonderful thing, but having one that you trust and that actually provides really good, honest, and then constructive feedback is an even more wonderful thing.
Yeah, yeah.
What was your response when we first gave you that lore chapter to look over it? What was your response to it?
I mean, the big thing for me is that as HHN fans, the cool thing about an event like Halloween Horror Nights starting off in the early 90s is that there's a lot of resources you can access. I mean, so many great I think it's awesome that so many people are still out there that have done so many events. They might not have been able to do all of them, but being able to go back and hear those firsthand accounts, and that even, with it being a relatively new event, being able to find people's like old camcorder footage and that sort of thing on YouTube, it's a highlight. You find like this hidden gem that's got like 28 views, and sure, it's pitch black and you can't tell what's going on, but it's like this important piece of history that for the most part has been decently documented unless you get into the really, really early stuff. And the reason I say all that is what really surprised me was just the amount of detail and research that you guys put into it. Because even though we have those great resources, our personal HHN library of Alexandria, if you will, like it's that information can be so scattershot and it can be all over the place. And it's so hard to find one really good resource. And I think that's what really stuck out to me about when you were telling me about the project and when it was all coming together. You really wanted to make a guidebook. You really wanted to make almost like a reference manual for fans like myself and so many other people to have to go in and just have something that's very concise and very thorough and very detailed and thoroughly just researched. I think that was the big thing is I was just impressed by the amount of effort that went into it. So when I put it all, when I finally got to flip through the sample chapters and read through the lore and everything, it was like, man, it's just nice to have something like that officially collected, bound in this honestly beautiful book. And it sits on the shelf, and whenever I need to refer to something, it's nice having something I can pull off the shelf and I can go back to. I think that's the real benefit, and I think you guys pulled it off. Not just being a shill, like it's a wonderful thing to have as a fan.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. I appreciate it. You kind of started to get into this already a little bit, but I want to pick your brain a little bit more. Once you
Yeah.
did get your book, your finished book, you got to look through everything else alongside just that one giant encyclopedia-esque lore chapter. What was your response to that?
I mean, the big thing for me is, even though I got a little bit of behind the scenes with the lore chapter and going into the HHN icons and the history with that, I didn't really quite have context for how it was all going to flow together. I didn't know how the story of Hunter, haha, you told me that wasn't intentional. I don't know. I still kind of raise an eyebrow at you, but you when I finally got to see it all together, I was able to. You did a really good job of putting the vision out there, and I was kind of able to visualize it. But it was kind of one of those things, to be honest with you. I kind of just nodded my head and I said, "Okay, Mark, it seems like a lot." And I even expressed my. I expressed some feelings pretty early on with you, where I was like, "Hey, I am somebody who is just very informational. I want to open a book. I want to find what I need. I don't read a lot of fiction in particular. I just want to use this book as a resource." And seeing it all come together, you actually convinced me. You're like, okay, I see the vision as far as why you decided to present information in this way and make it an experience. And I think that's something that's so significant and important when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights, is that what people connect with is the experience. They connect with how the event makes them feel, even more so than revisiting some of their favorite properties or haunted house locales. It's more about the feeling of something than even what is providing that feeling, if that makes any sense. And I think like that's what the book does so well. And once again, it ended up selling me on it, is because it's really unlike anything that I've seen. I know that the precedent has been set for puzzle books, but even just listening to the podcast that you guys have done with some of my other kind of partner shows with HHN 365 and Fear and Beer and everybody else, just hearing how different it is from even stuff that we've seen prior. There's really nothing like it. I mean, that's a compliment, and that I'm still kind of like bewildered by it. I have a little bit of Alan Grant situation, a little bit of Ian Malcolm, where I'm kind of like, oh man, the son of a gun actually pulled it off. So I'm proud of you in that regard. It's really something special.
I don't know how many times I can say thank you, but thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about like what in your ideal world, what would you want a reader to take away from this book once he got his hands on it and went through it?
I mean, I think the key thing for people to take away is exactly that. I think that how you interpret art and how it makes you feel is so individualized. And even though you're going to walk away probably knowing more than you, I will actually even guarantee it. I don't have any money to give you back, but I'm going to put my personal stamp on it, my guarantee. You're going to learn something from this. But more important than that, more important than you taking away the knowledge base, I think you're going to have the same reaction that you would have from, well, reading a really good book, watching a great movie, playing a fantastic video game. What you take away from it is your personal journey. And I think that there is the something you said that stuck out to me on the HHN 365 podcast that you did is every person's book, and I'm paraphrasing here, every person's book is going to be an individualized reminder of this journey that they go across. So yes, you're going to learn something, you're going to have knowledge, and other people will have that as well. But how you got that was through this personalized experience through this book. And now you have this physical manifestation of the journey that you went on. I think that's just an incredibly cool and special idea, and it's certainly outside the realm of anything that I've been able to experience. And I imagine a lot of people are that way, because a lot of us are going to come in and be like, oh, there's a new HHN resource, I want to see how this ties in to my love of this event. But then they walk away being invested in the actual story that is the conduit that's putting this information out there. So I guess that's the big thing, is that no matter how you approach the book, it's going to be an individualized experience, and it's really something quite unique.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say or ask or exclaim or anything at all?
I mean, I think the big thing is I think if there's anybody out there that's like me that says, "Hey, this is cool. I really love Halloween Horror Nights, but it sounds a little extra. This sounds like a little bit more of an adventure than I'm willing to take." Maybe you're just kind of apprehensive about that sort of thing. Like, "Hey, I don't really want to invest myself in this sort of way." You can absolutely just buy this and use this as a resource and refer back to it. Make it your textbook, make it your reference guide, however you want to view it. But if you're like me and you have that initial apprehension, go in with an open mind and actually dig into the story that Marc and company are trying to tell here, and find yourself let yourself become invested with it, and I pretty much can guarantee you're going to end up getting swept away with it like I was. Because I think that, Marc, the advantage I had going into this is I felt comfortable being a bit of a skeptic about it, as far as being like, "Hey, this is maybe a little bit more than I wanted to, but you really won me over." And I think if you can win me over, there's no reason you can't win everybody over. So go along for the journey, hang out with Hunter, not just me, hang out with the other Hunter, and piece together this mystery alongside learning some fun stuff. You won't regret it, for sure.